Shika Hala Yehovah, Bahasham Yehovah Shai, Bahasham Raka Kodash. This is Yasad again, coming with another short shoot. This one I'm gonna title Hunger or Hungry, something along that lines. Before I start, I just want to say shalom to the Akyam and the Akwat that's out there that is pushing this truth in all four corners of this earth. Also giving double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone for continuing to feed the flock, and feed us through the Spirit, especially guiding us through this year of prophecy. Right, as prophecies start to pull off. Right, so on the screen is a it's from CNN. 75% of Lebanon needs AIDS. Right, no, needs aid after coronavirus, and hungry protesters are back on the streets. See, Beirut, Lebanon, cash-strapped Lebanon is facing growing turmoil after the fallout from the coronavirus outbreak sparked violent protests over rising hunger and poverty. Right? Lebanon's economy, like many others around the world, was brought to a screeching halt by a government-imposed lockdown designed to stop the spread of COVID-19, but restrictions have further exacerbated the country's deep and long-running financial crisis. Since a popular uprising gripped the country late in 2019, its currency has dropped and is defaulted on its debt for the first time. Now, after nearly 2 months of lockdown, food prices are soaring and Lebanese lira, which is their money, is in free fall. Right? This is just one example of one country, what's happening, concerning this coronavirus. And it said here clearly that in 2 months this happened, a short space of time, which shows that this system that is in place, from the fourth beast, this system is in place so that eventually when something like this comes in, that they will have full control of everything, which is eventually bringing like the new world order, and they'll be able to control the population, swing them whichever way they want, because they'll be in the want of need and etc. And one particular thing is food, so, and food is one of the main thing that's going to happen, that comes in the prophecies of plagues and famine. The plague is going on, so after that is famine, which is happening, plus the economy gonna crash, which means the dollar is gonna crash, which means it's gonna bring into the digital system or cash free society, which eventually is going to end up bringing the mark of the beast, which is the chip, which everyone will have to take, right? Initially by volunteer and then eventually forced, because only way you're going to be able to purchase anything or sell anything or trade or get anything is through the chip. That would be where the money is going to be now, right? So there's another headline here. If your child is hungry, you will eat your rulers to feed your children. And it clearly shows that if it reached a stage, if they have to eat people, they will eat people, just to keep their children and themselves alive. This thing that happened in Venezuela over the past, let me say, 2 to 3 years, is so bad in some places. I mean, these people initially start off eating birds and pigeons and doves and anything that moved, then eventually they moved to domestic animals, and they started to eat cats and rats and dogs, and and this is what is going to happen through the entire world, because they need to have everyone on bended knees so that they could do their willing. And it's much more easier than having to force people that when they put them back their back against a wall, right, then it's easier for them to take the chip without even resisting, because they'll be so desperate, right? The only thing is that what they didn't cater for is the Most High people who is in His truth, and the Most High is going to take care of His people. Just like when Moses and all the children of Israel left Egypt, the Most High took care of them. He fed them, right, on a timely matter, and give them double share the day before the Sabbath so they could have. So we are gonna be safe during this time, right? This is for all the stiff neck and people who turn their hearts, and fornicators. And fornicator not only being physical but also spiritual, where fornicate and go after these other religions, Christianity and those other spaghetti and meatballs and those things. Right, so reading further along here, a large bag of the thirsty Gondilia plant arrived at Uriam Ahmad's door as it does nearly every day. Wearing a double-layered headscarf, she settles into a blue armchair. She has until afternoon to trim the spines of the wild plant for her customers to cook. Right, this is a wild plant that they reach here, and they're showing you later down here. Right, I paid 10,000 liras for 5 kilograms of this, she mumbles, peeling the stems of the spiny plant with a small curved knife, because the Lebanese lira is in free fall, so payment is only worth just over $2. Right, outside the city roars with violent demonstrations known as the hunger protests. These started just as Lebanon was loosening its coronavirus lockdown and beginning to contend with poor living conditions, exacerbated by the near shutdown of the economy. Right, near nightly confrontations between demonstrations and Lebanese army have rocked Tripoli over the last week, turning it into the epicenter of the country's renewed uprising against its political elite. Right, here, no one has trust in the banks, no one has trust in the state. There's injustice and there's shame and there's oppression, says Ahmad, who runs a shoe stand. And there's another thing that's going to happen with uprising, which is also prophesied, with people against people and against rulers, against princes and kings, and the people who have the upper hand. This is where the martial law is going to come in as well, right? The solution is for the army chief to round up all the politicians who robbed this country and to put them in jail. They pillaged the country and killed its people. These people that you all put in power, and you see what they did to the people. But another thing also, what you're seeing here is also part of your judgment for what you have done to the children of the Most High, Israel. Right? Because no nation is going to get away for all the wrongs that they have done Israel. Right? So this is just an example on this lesson for Lebanon. Right? Here, if your child is hungry, you will eat your rulers to feed your children. Right? Rising poverty. Lebanon's economy has taken a nosedive since last year, before the uprising gripped the country. Up to 75% of the country needs aid. This is millions of people. Here, it is a dramatic drop in living standards for our country, which in 2018, where we just started 2020, had the highest GDP per capita among the Arab world's non-oil producing nations. Right, and you see here, the Lebanese lira lost over half its value. So the money you have, that you think you have, is, if you have $100 now, when that time comes, it's going to be worth nothing. That paper money good to just wipe your butt when that time comes. So I'm going to go into a couple of precepts and some other examples here. I'm gonna start off with 2nd Ezra 15. I'm gonna start from 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and their swords in their hands. So you see all that already happening, what I just spoke about there. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or princes. I just said the people asking the army to kill all the politicians and everyone who was in charge. And there's uprising. Every night there's uprising there. And that uprising is called the hunger protest. And the cause of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities have been troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and soil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for our great tribulation. Behold, said powers, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanus. We're gonna go into Lebanus there to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. Right? So you see here Lebanus. Who is Lebanus? Lebanus, right? The grassy form of the name of Mount Lebanon, see Lebanon. Right? So you're seeing prophecies in 2nd Ezra talking about Lebanon as well. I think I have here as well. Lebanus. Smith's Bible, Lebanus is Lebanon. International Standard Bible, Lebanus is Lebanon. Right? And as I mentioned here, this is in Lebanon, which is mentioned in 2nd Ezra. Right? This is just one of the places and one of the countries that's going through this turmoil. Jumping back to the scriptures here. Like as they do, verse 21, 2nd Ezra 15:21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so I will do also, and recompense in their bosom, thus said Yahweh power. Now I said earlier on that this is also part of their judgment for treating Israel when they had Israel in captivity. Right? My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, said the Lord. And I'm sure as Israel is scattered over, I'm sure across there they will have a couple Israelites across there as well. So they're also going through a different judgment because they had sinned and not keeping commandments. And I think the largest religion in Lebanon, if I'm not mistaken, is also Islam. So they also forsaken the Most High and fornicate spiritually. Verse 25, I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. For Yahweh knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivered he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For power shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east. Right? And it goes on to talk about Arabia and other things. Gonna jump across to, or actually jump down to 57. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. 58. That they may be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. See here? They'll be so hungry they're going to eat their own flesh and drink their own blood. Look at already, they already started to mention about talking to one of the guys. He said, if your child is hungry, you will eat your rulers to feed your children, and beside the rulers, they are eventually going to eat other people because they're so hungry, right? I'm gonna jump quick to 2 Kings 6:25. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. Ass's head become like a restaurant meal. And the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So things got so bad, they was eating the dove shit, right? And as of the king of Israel was passing upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help me, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So they're going to reach this kind of stage where she told him, Listen, give me a son, let us eat, fill ourselves today, and tomorrow we'll eat your son. Verse 29. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. So it's all kind of strange things going to be happening, when this hunger is going to be so bad, and if you're not with the Most High, then you're against. And that is what's gonna be coming up, soon. And it already started in Lebanon, and it's probably on some other countries already, but probably not highlighted. The media tends to keep things, down and hidden. Right, so second is Ezra. We're gonna go to 16 and start from 18. I'm gonna jump around here. Verse 18, 2 Ezra 16:18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. And what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all of these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of their scourges. Right? I'll jump to 22 here. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other, and the escape of hunger shall the sword destroy. So anyway, take it as death and destruction. Right? It says here, if you don't die from the famine and the hunger, you're going to die from the sword that destroy. Verse 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, as shit, and therefore shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. Right? Jump in here to 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. Right? As when a woman with child in 9th month bringeth forth her son, when it is time, it will come. Right? Are we not too sure if this coronavirus is only one plague? So it could be other that come in that even worse than what was done. Because the Most High plagues, when he plagued like Egypt, was terrible plagues, and there's one after the other, and this coronavirus is only one. Well, Esau you could say is a plague too. Right? 39. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. Right? I think I have pilgrim. Right? A pilgrim, from the Latin peregrinus, is a traveler, literally one who has come from afar, who is on a journey to a holy place. In this place as a safe place, because you're going to be running from this time when martial law kicks in and people so hungry to come in to eat you. You take everything you have and destroy what you have. But what you think is yours now is not going to be yours now. Then, typically, this is a physical journey, often on foot, to some place of special significance to the adherent of a particular religion or belief. Right? So he said, "Hear, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims." That means get ready to walk and travel far upon the earth to get away from this thing. Right? But the Most High will guide us when and where, when that time comes. And just to end it right here, I'm going to end it with Luke 6:25. Woe unto you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe unto you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. And when that time comes, it already started here in Lebanon. That was also prophesied in Esdras. It also says here, all the people comfort and happy and full, you shall hunger. Right? And woe unto you that laugh now, because when that time come, you wouldn't laugh, because those people used to laugh at one time in Lebanon, and they're not laughing now, for they are mourning and weeping. Alright, and with that, I want to close it off there and say shalom again to all the Akim. Until the next time, shalom.